So you tell me, what have I been busting my ass for then, huh? Everything I do for you, D.
Why should you work to achieve her dream?
Actually, there's nothing wrong with that.
Tell me I can do it.
What? But I thought you didn't want to...
Say it!
Night City, an analog of our own world, taken to its extremes and made obvious for our benefit, is harsh, it is cruel, it is a place where no one is special. The only choice is whether you want to accept that fact or not, whether you decide to live fast and exciting, or die a slow, painful death stretched out and called life. And someone above you will profit from whichever route you take. They let others catch a glimpse of a dream. They let these punks make names for themselves and how they die so that every generation will have new dreamers, new people they can use for their tests and their games and their profit. It's all a careful calculation designed for a status quo that destroys any value in regular life. The world created by those in the upper echelons is a guarantee of death without even a good-looking corpse. But even with the iron grip they hold over everything and everyone, there's one world which isn't so easy to muck about in. The world of the individual, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions which constitute us, and more importantly, how those worlds interact between us all who have them. Speciality comes from within. We must be made to feel it from ourselves, even when manipulated by it. And that gives us a dangerous power, one to manipulate ourselves. We do not just make ourselves special, we make others special to us. We plan for them, change for them, shape our very beings for them. We covered before the lie of success in Night City, the way legends and speciality were used for manipulation. But there's another layer to that, one in the interplay between the people being manipulated. Part of the downfall we witness in Edgerunners is one much more personal. It is not the grand conspiracy of politics, business, and their bastard child. It is the basic human need for each other. It's impossible, at least in the sense of so minimally possible it can be considered impossible, to change the world of Night City, but it isn't impossible to change the world of an individual. The entire series is an act to that end. It ends with this and begins with it in David's mother, Gloria. An EMT, she works herself to exhaustion and then goes further, selling heisted cybernetics on the side to pay for David to attend Arasaka Academy. Despite his near-perfect grades, he doesn't fit in with these students or educators, as the principal tries to convince Gloria that David would be better suited at another school, one which wouldn't pull him out of poverty. He's saying, your son shouldn't be in this world, it is ours. Naturally, she denies this suggestion. She hasn't worked her entire life away just to see that all go to waste, to know that her son will have the same shitty life she has tried so hard for him to avoid. She makes this clear when he suggests dropping out himself, stating her wish to be the exact opposite, saying that she sees him at the top floor of Arasaka Tower. Being their last conversation, the implications of this influence everything we witness in David moving forward. Gloria is first and foremost evidence. She proves how special one person can be to another by spending her entire existence on bettering his. David learns both that such a thing is possible and also that he is seemingly special. His life is composed of two, both what he's lived and what his mother has lived. She has placed concrete expectations on his life, ones with a steep cost. She desired him to do something impossible for Night City to succeed. And David, obviously valuing his mother as she did with him, is forced to follow through on her effort. If he doesn't, then it says his mother's life was wasted, something which we can't allow to be said of someone special to us. He can never escape this duty based on the harsh logic of life and death. Our expectations can do much more than we know, and when in conflict with the reality can even have negative effects, even when done with entirely positive motivations. And we should emphasize the logic of death here. Life is change and evolution. It is how we have no true self, but rather a collection of selves over time as we change and react to the world, which does the same. But death is stasis. It is what solidifies all of those selves into one, a memory of who we were, our dreams and wishes. This serves to destroy David even further. It destroys him further because death solidifies our expectations. As we grow and change, so does what we want and what we expect from others. Gloria was not born with the idea that she would give her life to better someone else's, but as she became a mother who cared deeply for her child, those expectations came to be. They likely shifted with David as well. Knowing he was intelligent, she had, however untrue, a belief that he was the material needed to run a corporation, that he was special. The unfortunate fact is that the real marker of success is luck and birthright. But if David did drop out, if he did miss his chance at having a different life, she eventually would have had to change her expectations. She may have been disappointed, but she would eventually adapt with what reality was. That's what you do for someone special. But death is not reality, it is the very lack of it. When she dies, with some of her last words being about that dream, no matter what David becomes, what he does, or how he changes, that dream he's trying to live up to never will. It is a static marker for a fluid person. And it was already a mismatch for who he was, for a kid simply seeking excitement to be confined to the offices of heartless bastards. Then he goes on to steal, to kill, to rain absolute carnage on the world around him. In the back of his mind is a dream which, despite already being impossible, is now so much further away, and he still needs to fulfill it. So he climbs that tower to the top floor, a bastardized realization of a mother's dream, created from speciality forced by a harsh world and solidified in a harsh death. Gloria wanted David to escape the shitstorm of the lower levels of Night City altogether, but at a basic level she was urging David to take the long path, to live a life which was full, even if it was full of struggle and boredom. Maine, David's second mentor figure, is the opposite. He teaches David all about a world which is exciting, new, and shiny with chrome. In a world with such limited options, cybernetics are a sort of salvation, a way to hold power over everyone else seeking the same option. You don't rise higher than allowed, but you reach as high as you can within the bounds allowed to you. When you choose to enjoy life in Night City, you're always close to death, so you modify your body to resist it, to strike first, and to strike deadly. Something shared by most excessively enhanced individuals is denial, something we explored a lot more last time. Essentially, it's looking at the world, rejecting the facts and accepting the stories, the legends left behind by dreamers like you, and saying, I will be different. For a kid like David craving anything but the life which devalued his mother, this was an easy lesson to copy. Maine was not special. No one in Night City is. But he was special to David. He was a bit of proof. Good people exist. Good people who may do bad things, but they live well, treat the people they care about fairly, they have fun, and they muck about in the shit they choose, not the shit the world drops on them. If Maine lived, then this idea lived, this idea of a sort of escape. I think this puts David's insistence into perspective. Maine starts to lose himself, succumbing to cyber psychosis. He fucks up their jobs, fills himself full of meds, and says he can never go back. Going back is proof that you are just another nothing. You are in denial. You will be killed because you have limits. So Chrome Fiends never go back. Maine does recognize it's too late though. With Dorio's death, he rejects David's help in escaping and meets his fate by taking as many others with him as possible. He dies and leaves David with even more solidified expectations. To keep running, to never stop, to run until the edge and keep going. But really, Maine was too special to die. David, based on what he learned from his mother, was willing to meet death for him. He was willing to fight a losing battle for the idea of Maine. If someone means that much, you can lose your life for them. They are worth it. Maine dies before David can give his life to help, but he does it anyway. Because Maine was too special to die, David keeps him alive through his dream. Like chasing his mother's, our main character does the same thing with his second mentor. David lives as Maine after the short time skip. He bulks up with Chrome, his entire form changed from what once defined him. He leads the group, same as his fallen ally. He divides up the pay, insists on more and more Chrome, mentors the new members. Everything that was once Maine is now David. This is how special we can make people in our own minds, especially against a world dead set on proving otherwise. That cost gets placed on yourself, and it shows. David was insistent on Maine's hands, despite the fact they were an outdated mismatch for himself. Maine even remarks that he'll need time to grow into them because they're obviously not right. And Ripperdoc comments on them as well, mentioning how they fucked up David's sockets, getting them into place, and how they need constant repair as an old, outdated, crappy model. He should change them, he should move on. David literally changed himself for the worse, made his life less convenient to carry on Maine's dream. That's something inherent to our connection with others. We sacrifice for them, there is a give and take which defines care. You give them your time and your energy and your attention. To love is to sacrifice in the name of something we consider worthwhile. But how far does it go when proving anything worthwhile is impossible? How far does Night City make it go as they desperately cling to their denial? And then there's Lucy. From how David treats her, we see another side of this. The desire to be special to someone else, a bit of proof against a shitty world without value. I could write an endless stream of words about this, but I think this shows it best. These kinds of smiles David has when he does something well for Lucy, how soft and genuine they are. They are a kindness which doesn't match their surroundings. From the very start, David does his best to be special for Lucy. He takes on jobs with a confidence despite having never done them before. He acts like he can drink and smoke, like he could make money for her all night if she really wanted him to. He is a kid seeking validation from a city without it, so it can only be found in others. Humans will always be humans, even in an inhumane world. It isn't a bad thing that David wanted to make someone happy. It's a bad thing that there was no other option, that this city makes people place all of their value in such things because it provides none otherwise. But his dedication is also because, like his mother, the crew set expectations on him. I love when the text comes on screen and fills up the entire space, really stressing the weight of their words. And one of those times is on his first real job when it goes wrong and Maine says,
"Show me. You got what it takes."
We see later with Julio that death is no stranger in this world. Kids who want to prove themselves come and go. You could grab one from every rundown apartment block, it's nothing special at all. So the ones who succeed, they have to be something different, right? They prove themselves that they are because they didn't die like the rest. Thrown to the fire, you only succeed if you're fireproof. At least, that's how it seems. It's also clear that despite her guarded nature, Lucy had the same desire to be special, one David was happy to validate. You don't show your dream to someone without knowing it says something about you, something unique and interesting. Revealing the most vulnerable parts of yourself and saying, "Don't hurt me," and then watching as they don't. It is proof. And the icing on the cake when you simply admit it all.
First time I've shown anyone this.
Like, why me?
Dunno.
This really says it all to me, that her answer for why she did so to someone so new to her can only be, "I don't know." Because we don't really know. You just feel it, and you do it, and you see that it felt nice. It felt opposite to what life always seemed to be, and you find solace in speciality with someone else. It's something that says you can do it, even when everything around you has always said you can't. Pretty directly, Lucy expresses this.
Tell me I can do it. What? I need to hear you say it. Please.
Suddenly, you're doing things the world didn't want you to, things it was supposed to beat out of you. They're tiring and exhausting, but they have you and others behind them. We work together, even if it's just in support and helping to relax or unwind. We need each other to do something great. This is all human stuff. It's the things which we experience in ways which can be healthy just as much as they cannot. Two minds are better than one. We come together for a reason. Once again, the issue is Night City. In a world with no way out, with nothing good to offer the common person, these worlds we share form a dependency. We need to be satisfied. To be human is to desire, so we will seek out whichever way we need to be. In a world which offers no way, people are the only option. We become addicted to others, to the sense they give us that we are not just another speck of blood on the killing room floor. They give some credence to the idea that we are more than cattle slowly dying for someone else's reason. They are a complacency that we're allowed for that reason. They need each other to face the horrors of what basic reality has become. This world breaks people off of their own love. And what makes it worse is that death is always around the corner. Every life is just something in the way of someone else's gain. What happens when someone you love this much is in someone else's way? When the only thing which made you feel validated is removed suddenly, and you are left truly alone to face a truth no human was destined to face. Can we move on carrying the weight of dead bodies with us at all times? David tried. He tried for 2 or 3, and it was a big part of what destroyed him. The reliance on never facing this fact, i.e. protecting that person or people, is part of what brings David and Lucy down as well. They were each living their life for the other to some degree. We'll distinct that more a bit later. But what's important is David was trying to give Lucy an escape, as he says, a literal parallel to her desire to leave their world and see the moon. Lucy was, unknown to him, trying to stop Arasaka in their tracks. They were aware of David's natural affinity for cybernetics and sought to use him as a test subject. Having previously deleted the data in a dive on Tanaka, she now hunts down other netrunners who seek to restore those lost files. Because she's trying so hard to protect David, she doesn't get to enjoy their life together. And because she's always gone, David loses a part of himself, a big, validating part. The kind that's big enough to say that nothing ever mattered but achieving her dreams. As they drift apart, David's mind is left to wonder, to contemplate the reality he's been denying. Cyberpsychosis is not as simple as Chrome turning people's minds to mush. It is also the stress of trying to escape this world, and that being the only way allowed to citizens. As they reach the limits and this comes into question, they're suddenly slapped in the face with reality. They are not special. These people just made them feel like it, only for a moment. With Lucy accidentally saying through her actions to David that he wasn't anything special anymore, this was a fact left to hit him even harder. Even as she killed so many others for his sake. Even as she proved through the number of lives that to her, his life was worth more than any other, he saw anything but that. Lucy proved in a way which fits with Night City that David was special to her. A game of numbers, a body count traceable to a reason. She didn't use her whole being to supplement his, but rather her time and efforts. Their early conversation about purpose permeates through the entire series to this point.
Was kinda her dream, all that Sokka stuff. Our dream, I guess.
It's not your dream, though, is it? Why should you work to achieve her dream?
Actually, there's nothing wrong with that.
She was willing to help David, to play Night City's game for his betterment, but she was never going to spend her entire life for him, even if she lived it with him. Her efforts were always supposed to be limited, as she always just needed a little more time. David, as always, was trying to do more than allowed. He didn't just need to be the stuff of legends for himself, he needed to be it for others. After watching his mom die, getting stronger, and then watching Pilar die, and then getting even stronger, and then still watching Maine die, he was faced with the harsh reality that no one can save someone else, not in this world. We can't erase their mistakes, and we can't change the circumstances that throw them to death. No matter who you are, you're not safe. This is another fact that needs to be denied because it means both you are just another lost soul and that the thing which best disproves that could be ripped away at any second. There's a natural progression from trying to be special for others and for them and recognizing your own death. If you're going to lose your life, give it to them. He spent his whole life, whether through violent or non-violent means, learning that one life can be spent for another.
It's the only way I could protect you from this damn city. My mom, Maine, and the others in our crew. Couldn't let that happen. Not to you too.
It was an impossibility he committed to. It's a fight against a principle of life itself, intensified in the lights of that damned city. Lucy gets to live because her life was her own, because she dreamed within the world. She had some of David's flaws for sure, but there was always a fixture of reality. Hers was going to the moon, which, as we see, is something that could actually be done, something she achieves. It is real and it exists. It is not special. It's not a mismatch with the allowance of life in their world. It was shared with others who were meaningful to her, but it was never theirs, it was hers. David's mistake was making it theirs. The lesson she learned to
never to trust a soul in this city
can be said another way. The only thing we can guarantee is ourselves. The second our desires and ourselves involve others, any prediction holds no weight. We don't know if they'll turn on us, die early, run away, or whatever it may be. Humans are not predictable. In the same way that death solidifying expectations can hurt us, so can the lack of death, so can life. Because other people's and their motivations will morph and change, become unrecognizable or bastardized like David's. They'll become incompatible with ours and the plans we made one way or another. Lucy lived for herself, so she gets to live. It seems the only thing we can draw from this, from the results of everything we've witnessed, is that we have to live for ourselves. Is this a fact of life, or a fact of life in Night City? And by extension, a fact of life in the world we're born into. If we were properly valued by the world around us, then would the factors of other humans be able to tear us down so much? If we didn't feel like our only value was someone else's profit, that we must destroy ourselves physically and mentally to survive, would it matter so much what other people meant to us? What if, when we were left behind by death or change, we didn't have to worry about how we'd survive without that person? Working from that point forward, other people wouldn't build us up. They would simply help support a structure that was already there and already valuable. We'd all be able to live for ourselves, but with each other. We shouldn't have to make some fucked up and forcibly false binary decision. Why don't we see it as a failure of our world that we have to pick between ourselves and others, that we created monsters by forcing us to see ourselves as more valuable just to cope with the logic of a cruelly designed system. We look at worlds like the Cyberpunk series and remark how fucked up so much of their world is. Yet the characters within it look at it like any other day because it's been normalized. We are the characters of our world. Why don't we take that process without our own normalization? We're surrounded by so much that's awful, so much that's designed to be awful, and we aren't allowed the time or energy to consider just how fucked up it is. There should be nothing wrong with everything we covered here today, because the issues surrounding other people and their meaning to us shouldn't have to exist that way. We should not have to pick between other people and ourselves. We should not have to put ourselves above all for survival after all of the human race's advancements. We shouldn't need other people to feel special because there shouldn't be a need to feel special in the first place to escape a fucked up world that treats us like shit. The soul of their world, of our world, has been killed, but the soul of human beings can never be. That is our curse that we are destined to experience and feel even in a world that hates us. We're destined to make things bearable enough through each other, enough of a push to keep going every time our heel's just out of the fire. The way we support each other has been manipulated, a fact of life used to abuse us. The meaning of others can only hurt us because we've been robbed of our own. You are a goddamned human being. You think and feel and express yourself and love others and everything which is unique to us in our stupid, over-evolved minds. Those are valuable things, and those make you valuable just as you are. Fuck a world that says anything otherwise. People are great. I don't understand them, but I love them, and they can make us more valuable. But it's so fucked up that our world makes us feel like they're the only thing that can do so. And I don't think I have words to finish that. I don't have anything more to say than what I'm feeling. What Cyberpunk has helped me put evidence and different visuals to. There's nothing more than that I can add because I have no solution to the problem. But together, because we are valuable together, at least more valuable together, we could come up with a solution to that one day. I really hope we do, for all of our sakes. Anyway, that got really depressing at the end there. Thank you, Cyberpunk. But, there's important links in the pinned comment, Twitter, Discord, but most importantly, Patreon, where these lovely people help support me against all this stuff I just mentioned. So I'll just say thank you for watching, and I really do hope that I'll see you again soon.